Hi class, today our objective is I can collect data about the outcome of a coin toss. When have you or someone else used a coin toss to make a decision? Maybe you've had to do this, maybe you haven't. Lots of people do decide things this way. They'll toss a coin and decide will it land heads or will it land tails? And depending on how the coin lands affects whether or not they get to do whatever it is they were tossing the coin to decide. Mary and Joe toss a coin to decide who goes first when they play a game. Is this a fair way to decide? We're going to do an activity on the next screen to think about this question. What are the possible outcomes that the coin might land on? Well, we know it might land heads, or that coin, when they toss it up in the air and it falls down, it could also land tails. These are the outcome. Outcome is something that happens after you do something. So after the coin is tossed, it could land heads or tails. Let's think about the next question. How likely is that coin to land with the head side facing up? Here's an example of what that would look like. On a coin, how many sides have heads like this? Right, one side of the coin has heads. Okay, and how many sides to the coin are there? How many possible ways are there for it to land? That's right, there are 2 ways for it to land. So we have a 1 out of 2 chance of getting heads. Now let's think about tails. This is an example of what a tails side of a coin would look like. How likely is it to land tails up? Well, how many sides of the coin are tails? 1. And how many sides to the coin are there? 2. So we have a 1 out of 2 chance of getting tails. So we have a 1 out of 2 chance of getting heads and a 1 out of 2 chance of getting tails. Our chances are the same. So is this a fair way to decide on something? Most people would say, yes, it's fair. If we were going to try this, step 1 would be a coin would be tossed. Step 2, one player would call out either heads or tails. And then step 3, if he or she is right, they would decide on what they get to do. Let's use that last example of the game and say that it might be to go first in a game. So if I'm going to do this, we'll give this a try here. I'm going to toss my coin in the air. And sometimes people call out heads or tails while the coin is in the air, and sometimes they call out heads or tails before they toss the coin. We'll give this coin a start here, and I'm going to say heads. I'm going to stop it, and the coin actually landed heads. So in this example, I would get to go first. If we do another time, toss the coin in the air, maybe I say tails. And lucky me, it landed tails, and so I would again get to go first. When you come to class tomorrow, you are going to get to do a coin toss and collect some data about how many times it lands heads and how many times it lands tails. You are not going to have 1 coin though, you are going to have 10 coins. This is a copy of what you will see in your journal. You're going to get 10 coins, all 10 of them, and you're going to toss all 10 coins up into the air at one time. And then you're going to watch how they fall. And you are going to count up how many heads you see and how many tails you see. So in this example, there would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the coins landed up heads. So my first toss, I would have 5 heads, and tails 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then I'm going to shake them again, and I'm going to toss them again. I'm going to do this 5 times, and after all 5 tosses, I'm going to record how many heads do I have and how many tails do I have. We would expect these numbers to be about half and half. If half of the time it would come up heads and half of the time it would come up tails, we're looking for about half and half. We should have a pretty equal chance of getting heads and tails. However, the more data you have, the more accurate your outcome is. So instead of just looking at our own data, we're going to combine it with a partner's. So you're going to also write how many heads did you have after your 5 tosses, and then you're going to get together with a partner and you're going to write down how many heads did they have. So let's say I had 30 heads and my partner had 20 heads. Together we would have 50 heads total. And then we're going to compare that to how many tails we had. And then we're going to get together even more. I'm going to ask the whole class for their information. How many heads and how many tails did the class have? And we're going to see when we're all together, how likely is it that half the time would be heads and half the time would be tails. All right, it's time for your quiz question for tonight. We only have 2 of them. They're quick quiz questions. So quiz question number 1, a coin can land heads or, and you need to fill in the blank. And quiz question number 2, when a coin is tossed, you have a blank out of 2 chance to get tails. You need to fill in that blank. After you have completed that, that will end your homework for the evening. Go ahead and put your answers into the quiz on the website, and I will see you in class soon.